Hi, good afternoon. This is Brian Begley with nCloud9. We're here today to walk you through a webinar that we have on the topic of enhanced filtering. And what we are talking about when we talk about advanced filtering, and let me set my slideshow to start here, is some enhancements that were made by Microsoft in Dynamics 365 in the most recent version, which was the April 2020 release. So what we're seeing in this most recent release are enhancements in several areas. Some of those enhancements include changes to how you can customize and modify the views that come out of the box with CRM, how you can create your own personal views. Previously, when you created a personal view in Dynamics 365, you might use the Advanced Find tool to create that, but today you don't do that. We also have changed how you can filter your views, much easier than it used to be. We're also going to talk about searching within Microsoft CRM grids. We're going to talk about the difference between the old Advanced Find tool and the new enhanced filters. So we have a lot of topics to go over in a short time, so I'm just going to get started. So let me switch my screen here. And hang on, today I am on my own with this slide, with everything, so I am having a little issue here. So give me a moment. Okay, so now I'm going to switch my screen here. Sorry about that. So we're going to start in my Dynamics 365 environment that we have running here, and I'm going to walk through a few new advanced find techniques. So we're going to start with going to my accounts view. So when we're looking at Dynamics 365 in my accounts view, what we see by default is the view called My Active Accounts. Now I'm going to go through a few things that are not just new features, but features of views and finding and searching for data in 365 that you may not have been aware of in the past. So let's get started with one thing. Like, we have a view here called My Active Accounts, and that's my default view. So every time I go into look at accounts, this is the view I see. Now I might instead want to use a different view, like for example, the view called All Active Accounts. So I'm looking at this view, Active Accounts. You'll notice that there's a pin here right next to My Active Accounts. When I stick that pin in here, that means that is what I want to be my default view. So if I want to change my default view from My Active Accounts to Active Accounts, it's pretty simple. All I got to do is change my pin to that view. And now every time I go in to look at accounts, Active Accounts will be my default view. I can change it back at any time by just clicking on the pin. And when I do that, it'll bring me back to My Active Accounts. So now I switched my view from My Active Accounts to Active Accounts being my default view. But then I decided to switch back. So I just stuck my pin in My Active Accounts, and now that is my default view. So I'm going to walk through a few of the new features that are in there. Some of them you probably have taken advantage of, but you might not even know you were doing it, and you might not even know that this filter that you're seeing or this new feature is even there. So let me just walk through a few of them right here. Number one thing is easier filtering from within the view pane. So there's a lot of things you can do. This is the view pane right here. And from within here, you can change the sort order by clicking on the arrow and change it from sort A to Z to sort Z to A. And you can do that pretty easily. You've always been able to do that in CRM just by clicking on the thing in the past. But now within each one of these fields, I can do different types of advanced filters. We're going to go through the different filters available on the different views. So let's start with this relationship type field. Relationship type field is an option set. What that means is I can choose from multiple values within here. So when I click on relationship type and then I choose to filter by, I'm going to get numerous values: equals, does not equal, contains, contains, does not contain. If I just choose equals, what's going to happen when I kind of hover over the result box is I'm going to get the list of all the potential values that were in this field. So I can say, I just want to look at customers in this list and prospects. I don't want to look at vendors, resellers, partners, anyone else. I choose those two values from the dropdown and I click on apply. Previously, you would have had to spell those values out. You wouldn't have been able to just choose them as easily as I did from that list. So once again, what I did is I clicked on filter by, I clicked on the drop down, and I chose the values I wanted, and it gave me my results. I can tell that this is the field that this view is being filtered on because it has a value here. It's showing the funnel, which is usually a signifier of filtering in CRM, in that column. I could also filter on multiple columns. So I could say, in addition to relationship type equals customer, I can say I want to filter on a second field, and I want to say where the city equals Redmond. So I'm looking for all of my accounts that exist in Redmond. I click on that, and I've made my choices here. So that's pretty much how easy it is to filter on any field that is an option set, like relationship type or customer type. I'm going to remove my filters. That's as easy as clicking on the down arrow again, clicking clear filter. It's going to keep my filter on the city column. So I could go there and also clear that filter then. And I am looking at a view once again of all of my accounts. Now I'm going to switch from my active accounts to the view called active accounts. These are all the accounts within CRM that are owned by people within the organization. So I'm looking at this and I see that there are some accounts owned by me and there's some accounts owned by other people within my organization. I want to get a filtered look at the owners of the accounts. The owner field here is a lookup field, which means it relates to another record, in this case, the CRM user record. They've made this really easy to do your filtering here. If I click on my drop down on the owner record and I choose filter by, it starts using auto suggest as I type. So if I start typing Deb here, it's going to find Deborah in my list of users. I can also add a second user in here as well. So if I'm going to choose Jody, and it's going to bring up Jody's name as well. I'm going to click apply, and I now have a filtered view of all the accounts that are in my system based on who their owners are. Really easy to do. Once again, in the older versions of Dynamics 365, you couldn't do such a thing. Now, I'm going to clear that filter for the owner field again. I'm going to just show you something here that you may be noticing in the view of all the active accounts that you may have not noticed before, but we have this little icon here. And what this little icon means in the view is there's a relationship between AdventureWorks and some other organization in this list. So I'm going to go on to Fourth Coffee, and I'm going to set Fourth Coffee's parent company to be Alpine Ski House. Okay. Once I go back to my view of active accounts, you'll notice that on Fourth Coffee, which is not showing in my active accounts, it must be owned by someone else. Fourth Coffee now has that icon there. So that means that there's a hierarchy. And if I want to look at the relationship of Fourth Coffee with other companies within my organization, I'm going to click on that button there. And it's going to bring up this account hierarchy form, which will show me the relationships between these companies. It shows me that Alpine Ski House is the owner of AdventureWorks, Blue Yonder Airlines, and Fourth Coffee. So if you do see that, now you know what that means. And it's very easy to go from one record to another to see the relationships between your clients, your customers, all the companies within your grids. Okay, so with that, I want to move on to my next topic of searching, which is to go into activities. So I'm going to move from accounts to activities, and I have a view under my activities called My Tasks. And I'm going to show a little bit of date filtering here. So within CRM, I can do date filtering by clicking on the due date. I can sort oldest to newest, newest to oldest, or I can filter by. And in the past, we didn't have all of these values, on or before, on or after. We had a lot of them, but Microsoft has added a whole new set of values. We used to only have about 10 or 15 different values in here that we could easily search on. I like using relative views. So let's say I want to filter to say, just show me activities that are due this week. So I'm going to click apply, and I've now created a view that I can save, and it shows me these are all of my tasks that are due date within this week. I can save this view by clicking on this little icon up here. And it's going to show me what we have now called advanced filters. So this is probably the biggest new change here that I just showed you within Dynamics 365 for views. In the past, I'm going to go back here and I'm going to say, let's go look at all tasks, or I'm going to look at my tasks. It was very difficult if you were in this view to figure out what was the filter behind this view. Now it's pretty self-evident that anything that's my tasks is my tasks, but I can't tell if my tasks include active tasks and completed tasks. It's not self-evident in the name. So in the past, if we wanted to look at a view and determine what that view was made of, in other words, what's the filter on this view, you would have to go into Advanced Find up here in the ribbon and open up Advanced Find. And when it loads up, it would show you the filter in the view. And that was not a bad thing to have to do. But now what we can do is from within a view itself, I can just click on this filter right here next to the search page. If I click on that, it's going to bring up the filters for this view. That the filter for my tasks is the activity status equals open and the owner equals the current user. From here, I can modify this. I could add more rows, so I could add more filters on that. I could add groups, and I could also add searches based on related entities. I'm going to add a group because I want to say I want to show all of my activities that are due this week and were due last week. So to do that, I'm going to add a group, and a group has two conditions. They can be in either an AND group or an OR group. So in order to do a filter like this, what I need to do is two filters. I need to do a filter that says, look for any activities that are mine, that are open, and the due date is either this week or last week. So to do that, I would click on this and I would add a field for due date. And I would say due date equals last week. And then I would say make a group out of this. And I can add a second criteria. So I'm going to add a row and I'm going to say due date equals this week. Okay. And I'm going to click apply. Oh, before I do that, I want to change this filter to an OR filter because I'm saying, and the due date is either last week or this week. So I'm going to click apply. And when I do that, I see that I have two tasks on this view that fit my criteria of being due last week or this week. If I want to, I can save this view. Now you'll notice my tasks now has an asterisk next to it. What that means is that this view is filtered and it's not the default filter. So when you're looking at this, you know that this is not the out-of-the-box view for that. I can remove the filters that I created by clicking on the clear filter button that's showing here. But also I can go into filters here and I can click on my three dots here. I can go to create view and I can save these filters as a new custom view. So I'm going to click Save Filters as New View, and I'm going to say my tasks due this week or last. And I'm going to click Save. And when I click Save, I'm going to have to do a refresh in order to see that filtered view again. So when I refresh my CRM, I now see that I have that custom view that I created that is available only to me as my tasks due this week or last. I can make that my personal task view by clicking on the pin, and that becomes my default out-of-the-box view. Something else you might want to see when you're looking at the My Task view is, and this is something that what I'm about to show you is something a system customizer has to do for you. But let's say you want to be able to view your tasks by due date on a calendar form. So I'm just going to create a new task here, and I'm going to say complete webinar. And I'm going to say that it starts today, and we're going to start it at 1 p.m. 1 p.m. Did that work? That didn't work. Let's do it the right way. And it has a due date, which I have to put up here, of today, and we'll set it due at 2 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Okay, so I click Save. So I've created another task for myself. I'm going to click Save and Close, and I'm going to look at my tasks. Now, you can have your system administrator modify CRM so that you have this command here that says Show As. And Show As allows you to add what's called a calendar into CRM. Calendar allows me to see my tasks by due date on a calendar format. So for example, there's a task that's showing right here on Friday as complete the webinar. And I can hover over that task and click on it, and it'll bring up the details of that task. So it tells me that it's due at this time, it lasts 1 hour, and I can click on more details here, and it'll open up the task for me. That's a pretty handy little trick. It's something that most people don't start using. We've started using it a lot of our clients because they like having that available. It can even be set so that it shows the tasks that are due by a day, a week, or month. And this could be your default view for any open tasks that you might have. Okay. So with that, I want to move on from tasks back to accounts. And I wanted to show a couple more small things here. Just bear with me for a moment. Oh, okay. So what I wanted to show you is a little change that's happened in Dynamics 365 that is going to be really valuable to you. Have you ever looked at a view of records and wondered, how many of these accounts do I have here that don't have contacts associated with them? Or how many accounts do I have that have never had an opportunity affiliated with them? You could do that today with Dynamics 365. I'm going to show you how to do that. You used to not be able to do that. Click on our funnel here for active accounts, and it shows me my filter on active accounts. But what I can now do is add a related entity. So I'm going to say I want to add the related entity called contacts. And by default, it says contacts contain data. But if I do that, what that's going to show me is a list where each account has a contact that exists. If I change this from contains data to select a field, and I click apply, what it's going to show me is that I have 2 accounts in this list where I have no contacts related to it. This is something I've been wanting for years, because in the past it would be very difficult to do this type of search to show me all records that don't have a related record to it. Now I can pretty easily, from my views there, create a view and do something with it. So I could say I have 2 results here. Who is my accounts at test account? You know, reach out to the owner, tell them that they should be making sure that they record their accounts contacts in CRM. So very handy, very easy to use. That's a view that you can save, so you can choose this and you could click Create View and save the filters, and save this filter as active accounts with no contacts. And anytime you want to in the future, you can go back and review that view and look for any new accounts that might have that issue with you. So I'm going to change back from active accounts with no contacts to the full active accounts. And I'm just going to do one more quick item here that's changed. It has to do with this box here called Search This View. Now, in the past, if you had searched this view for a term, such as the city or the company name, when you get the results, you would see a different set of columns. That was because any search results were shown in a view called Quick Find Search. And so whatever your administrator had set as the columns that would show in a Quick Find Search, it would show those columns. So they might just have the account name and the owner, and they wouldn't have relationship type or tax exempt. So what you can do now, Microsoft changed this so that now when I do a search here, and I'm going to search for Fourth Coffee, and it's going to show me the results with the same column headings. This is a small change. Most people haven't noticed it, but it's a change that I like because I used to not like, when I looked at my results, not having the same column headings in the view. So with all these changes, you might wonder, why do we still have Advanced Find? And I'll tell you why we still have Advanced Find. Advanced Find still is very useful of a tool. Advanced Find, has been around since the beginning of my experience with CRM, and it doesn't look, as far as the experience has, it hasn't changed very much in the last 15 years. But when you're using Advanced Find, there's a number of things you can do in Advanced Find that you cannot do using today the advanced filters available in CRM. So there's 4 things that I was able to find that. One is that advanced filters, Advanced Find, allow you to search for entities not in your CRM data map. So along your site map here, you have leads, opportunities, competitors, quotes, orders, invoices. What if you wanted to search on an entity that's not on this list? So for example, if I wanted to look at products attached to quotes, I would want to go to the quote product entity. Well, if your site map doesn't include the quote product entity or the quote line detail, you wouldn't be able to search on that data within CRM. So that's one usage for Advanced Find. Another use of Advanced Find, and this is very important, is when you're creating advanced filters here, you can't modify the columns you see here. So let's say I have a custom view called active accounts with no contacts. I want to change my headings here. I want to change the column headings. The only way I can change that is from Advanced Find. So if I go to Advanced Find, click on that button, it's going to bring up that view. Just like I did for years, I can go here and add a column into CRM, into the view. So I can just click and add those columns in, and I can then see those. I can save those changes, and that will update my my view here. Another thing that is useful for Advanced Find is to be able to manage your saved views. So when you're in the Advanced Find toolbar here, you can click on Save Views, and it's going to show you all of the views that you've created in this entity, in the account entity. So if I have a view here called Active Accounts with No Contacts, and I want to share that with somebody in my group, I would select it, and then I would click on Share. And from Share, I can add users or teams and allow these other users rights within the application. So they can read the view, they can write the view, delete the view, they can assign it to others, or they can share it with others. You can't do that with the advanced filters that CRM has today. Okay. Finally, the other thing that you can do with Advanced Find that you can't seem to do within the advanced filters is delete a view. So I created this view here, called it active accounts in Redmond. If I don't need that anymore, I can click delete save view. I can do that. That view is now gone. If I refresh my CRM, I'm going to see that my list of active views here no longer has that active accounts in Redmond. So it's just one way. That's the way you would manage your personal views. If you no longer need them anymore, you go into Advanced Find, go to your saved views, delete them, share them, and maybe modify them and add relationships to other entities. So that's about all I had today for this webinar. It took about 25 minutes to go through, so it took about the same time I expected it to be. It doesn't look like we have any questions, but if you do have any questions, please put them in the question box. And otherwise, I would say have a good day. We'll be sending you out a recording of this webinar, as well as a copy of our slides and a link to our blog on our website. We'll be having another webinar coming up August 14th. And the topic is going to be a walkthrough of the Customer Service Hub. We're basically going to be talking about customer service, case management, entitlements, knowledge base, and all the other components of the Customer Service Hub. So you should be getting an email shortly with a link to join up. So thanks very much for joining us today, and everybody have a good day and a great weekend. Thank you. Goodbye.